Hi, everybody. Today, I'm here with Dorothy Morgan, who is an astrologer. She works out of New Hampshire, and we are going to be blessed with her knowledge on Mercury Retrograde that starts, according to my calendar, it starts on the 18th of February. Oh, 16th of February. She's got
Do I have the wrong date up? Oh my God.
Well, you know, sometimes they.
No, it's the 16th.
You can. It's hard to find things that match. You can do. There's multiple.
I have the software that tells me, and
Right.
I have my ephemeris here. So it is February 16th.
Okay, starts on the.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, welcome, Dorothy.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for having me. I enjoy doing this with you.
Me too.
We do it once a quarter, approximately, because Mercury is retrograde 3 times a year. The theme of this year, for the most part, because you could see here, he kind of squeezes into an air sign, but for the non-astrologers, what this means is wherever Mercury is retrograding, each zodiac sign has an element. And so it gives us an umbrella idea of what's going on, but I'm going to give you specifics in this video. But the umbrella is, for the most part, it's retrograding water signs this year, which help us to get in touch with our emotions, our spiritual practices, our families, our creativity, and how we really feel, how we can feel very internalized and very deep. And retrogrades are about that. Pop astrology has made Mercury retrograde famous, and do things go wrong during Mercury retrograde? Absolutely, because things go wrong all the time. Right. The main theme, as most of us know, a lot of us know, is, don't start anything new during retrogrades. Well, sometimes we can't hold off doing certain things for 3 weeks, right? And so, don't make this so hard-nosed that you don't feel you can live your life. Right. I mean, that's the most important thing. If you're following a flow and there are things going on that you want to do, and it like every for you is in alignment with what's going on, but it's retrograde February 16th to March 9th, not a problem, because what we do with these energies is we review, research, dive deeper into whatever.
It's about being aware.
Oh,
that's all.
So much. It really is. But this is astrology. Why I want to use astrology in the best way possible is because it's like about the weather. Like if the weather says, Thursday we're going to have we're in New England, so we're going to talk on ice and snow. You're going to plan around that, but you don't have to. You don't have to plan around
That's exactly how I describe numerology.
Oh, is it?
Weather. Yeah.
It is like the weather. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. It's just planning. It's just knowing and making those decisions based off what's going on around us.
Exactly. And that's really what we want to do. So we're going to rework things, and we're going to research during this. And while the moon is not the moon, I'm so used to talking about the moon, while Mercury is in the sign of Pisces, this is when it's retrograde from February 16th to March 9th. And this is the area in the zodiac, if you know your astrology, and it's going retrograde, so it's backing up. It starts at 12 degrees of Pisces and goes all the way back into Aquarius. So when we have Mercury retrograde, and this is what the astrology looks like. I only have a couple of slides. Don't glaze over. I'm going to explain it. Some people get a little glazed over on this thing. But this is just what the astrology looks like. Since I'm an astrologer, I just want you to see. This is the moment. I did it for Portland, Maine, since you guys are in Maine. I'm over in Portsmouth. Mercury, this is just what it looks like the day that it goes retrograde, 12 degrees. One of the things that happens on this day is the planet Mars also enters the sign of Capricorn. So Mercury retrograde, do our reviews. We're going to slow down for 3 weeks. We're going to take our time. In the sign of Pisces, we're going to make sure what we're doing feels right, feels creative, and just take our time. Now, it's wonderful that Mars is in the sign of Capricorn. It's only there once every 2 years. Mars is in its happy place here. It likes a couple of signs specifically. Capricorn's one of them. That
Oh,
means
good.
we actually have, it's called exaltation if you're an astrologer. Mars in Capricorn for 7 weeks, so the whole time Mercury's retrograde, gives us an opportunity. It gives us drive, and we want to really work on stabilizing things and really organizing things. So we have two very different energies going on. One says review, take your time, rework this, and the other one says, yeah, but I'm going for that. So do it, do both.
Right.
Do both. And we will. I mean, excuse me. We can't spend 3 weeks just twiddling our thumbs waiting for Mercury to go direct. And we will be inspired with Mars in Capricorn to take for the next 7 weeks to take a lot of steps forward. So we really, it's a fabulous opportunity for us to work on that and to work on those things.
Nice.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I find it's a really good opportunity.
And
Just quick.
it's interesting that you say there's two things going on. That happens a lot in numerology too, that duality that goes back and forth. But again, if we're aware of it, then we can use it to our best abilities.
Absolutely. And when things are at 0 degrees, like, oops, let me go back. Like when things are at 0 degrees, you know, here's Mars in Capricorn at 0 degrees at a pivotal moment in astrology when Mercury goes stationary. Well, isn't 0 like spirit has your back in numerology?
Yeah.
Like it's,
Oh, yes. Yes.
Right. And so there's a lot of zeros in this year when we have specific things going on in the astrology this year. So there's a lot of 2s and 0s as we're in the 2020 year of 4, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so the moment that we also have February 18 when the sun enters Pisces. So for the whole time the sun is in Pisces, which is February 18th through March 3rd. So still the whole time that it is going from 0 degrees to where Mercury retrogrades. So this whole time, all the way to March 3rd, February 18th to March 3rd, the sun is going to now be illuminating the area of the astrology chart where Mercury is retrograding.
Okay.
And what that means is it's like another analogy. Mercury in Pisces is fog, right? Neptune, Pisces is fog. We can't see clearly, so we just need to feel our way through. Well, when the sun comes through on certain days, it's going to burn that fog off, so we'll be able to see clearly. So once again, how do we use this? Make sure you meditate every day, even a couple times during the day if you need to. And it doesn't have to be sit down Om for an hour. It just means go outside and watch the birds for a few minutes or whatever, just to like unplug regularly so you can get back in alignment with what spirit is asking us to do. Yeah. So these are really the best ways that we're using this Mercury retrograde. The new moon on February 23rd is also in the area that Mercury will retrograde back over. So this time period, February 18th, all the way till March 3rd, while we have lots of activity in the area that Mercury is making those 3 passes, we have opportunities, again, to really get in alignment with spirit. New moons represent opportunities to set goals based off of the Pisces energy, which is, what do I want? How do I want to get into alignment with my spirit, my higher self? Where can I engage in more compassion and more love and more understanding in my life? And again, that Mars in Capricorn, just another little piece of that, is here. We have quite a few planets in Capricorn to help us not be quite so wishy-washy about what we're doing. Too much Pisces energy, we can be a little wishy-washy. So if you're finding that that's happening for you, then don't make decisions. If you feel like, I don't know which way to go, then don't. Then don't. Yeah. I know. That's a great way to use this.
The Capricorn, because I know very little about astrology, so I find this extremely interesting. Capricorn, what is that energy? What is that all about?
The energy of Capricorn is like, it's the hard worker, it's serious, it's being very, being the authority at what you are. It's Capricorn energy, Saturn's there, the Lord of time. It's like being very organized and very disciplined. and very earthy and very grounded. It is.
It
It
sounds
is.
like the number 8 to me.
It
I'm
could be.
I'm looking up my book, see if I can
Yeah.
find it.
Yeah, because Capricorn is like
Oh, it is. Yes, it
the
is.
boss, is it? Yeah, it's the boss. It's the person who's in charge. It can be us too. And we really have been. Beginning of this year was very strong astrologically with eclipses and Saturn, Pluto starting
Right.
a new cycle early in January. And so Mars is going to come through there over the next 7 weeks while Mercury's retrograde. You know, Mars and Mercury are coming like this together. They won't meet up, but they're coming towards each other since one's retrograde and one. Anyway, so you can see it right here. Mars is moving forward. And if your listeners and anybody else who's listening, I mean, I do a weekly forecast right on YouTube and on it's on my website too. So there's always more. You can get more details, and I don't get as astrological in that quite so much because I just want you guys to see it. But
Oh, I love it. I love
yeah,
it. It's charts to us are very important, right? That's what keeps us focused and keeps us going.
exactly.
Understanding all the energies around us, because there is
It
so
is.
much going on.
There is always a lot going on, and we're pretty isolated right now with most everything in either Pisces or Capricorn at this point in time. This is mid-February. So we're like trying to be very organized and keeping things, going and staying in step with what our lifelong goals are. But again, all this Pisces stuff with Mercury retrograde there, the new moon there, we'll have a full moon next, all in those areas. And so it's like making sure that you're staying in alignment with those Pisces things, which is in alignment with your higher self, in alignment with spirit, and make sure if you get too heady about what's going on, make sure you unplug regularly during this Pisces time period. And that's really what to me, the way I'm seeing it, the main theme. Yeah. So now the sun is beyond where Mercury is retrograding in this whole period. This is March 9th. The sun and Neptune are connected in Pisces. So it's a very Piscean day. Everything I've already said, all of that, staying in connection with spirit, trusting your intuition, going with the flow. And this is when we have a full moon. And the only reason I bring this up is because this is also the day that Mercury is stationary and he goes direct. And that's just the next slide later in the day. And here it is. He goes direct March 9th, 11:49 p.m. And this is Eastern Standard Time. And so this is where he is, 28 degrees of Aquarius. He backed out into Aquarius for a few days, which will just get our minds involved in things. But for the most part, he's in Pisces when he's retrograde. So again, all of those time periods, that whole time period, like really take your time to reset what's going on. And again, the key dates when we have planets retrograde, we have a lot of retrogrades this year. Venus and Mars will retrograde this year as well. They only retrograde. We only see that every approximately 2 years, 19 months for Venus and 2 years for Mars, and they're retrograde this year. So maybe we'll have a little chat about one of those.
Yeah, I would like that, because when I think of Venus, I think of love.
Yeah.
But when I think of it going retrograde, I think, there could be some
does.
interesting things to look at in relationships.
She does that. She's the first one that goes retrograde out of that. All the planets retrograde, but she retrogrades May 13th. So we have a big week in May where, let's see, Venus, we have 3 planets retrograding all in 1 week. Saturn retrogrades May 11, May 13, Venus retrogrades, and May 14, Jupiter retrogrades. So that is, that's a tough week, honestly.
I think we need to get together and talk about that when that comes up. Yeah, that would be fun. So how I'm interpreting this is that the sun is going to shine on us, and it's going to enlighten us a little bit, and it might bring in new stuff or things that we haven't thought about. But it's important for us to pull back and make sure that we're seeing things clearly, and if we're indecisive, then we need to step back and not make the decision until things pass.
Yeah, until things feel clearer. So I mean, that's it, because you can't push against things, and when I see this Pisces, if anybody is a swimmer, or remember when you're swimming when you're a little kid or whatever, you know, when you're trying to go for a ball, when you're in the water and you're trying to go for a ball that's on the
Right.
if you go for it, it just pushes it away.
Yeah.
You have to come
Right.
up over, right, to get to it.
Right.
And so I'm thinking like so the reason I mention that is like if you have these thoughts and ideas of how you want to do things, but you can't quite get it, then just wait for
Right.
just wait for the wind to blow it to you in a way.
Right.
But just wait for that energy to shift so it comes a little bit closer so you're able to grab that idea. You know, it's like
Right.
waking up from a dream and you're like, what was that? I didn't write it down fast enough. So you have to let it show back up.
Yeah.
So this,
Right.
and these are all Pisces things, all these keywords I'm saying, you know, the water and, you know, the energy and the dreams, that's all qualities of what Pisces is about. So we're going to, all of those things will be heightened
Okay.
while Mercury is retrograde. Because again, Mercury is like speedy, very fast for the most part. But when he retrogrades, he spends 3 times as much time in one area of the astrology than he usually does. Usually 3 weeks and he's gone
Right.
in certain area, but now he spends almost 10 weeks in one area, up to 12, actually 12 weeks in one area instead of 3 weeks. So we have lots of opportunities when Mercury is retrograde to actually learn, because otherwise it's just like speed reading and you don't get the context of it and nothing gets integrated.
Right.
So wonderful opportunity for integration as well.
So I guess I'm a little bit confused. My printer just went off. Is that Mercury retrograde? Let's see. Okay, so Mercury retrograde is only retrograde for 3 weeks. But what's the 12 weeks? I don't understand.
Because yes, okay, let me clear that up. Because like right now, so wherever he's retrograde, so he starts at, so from when he's at 28 degrees of Aquarius, he goes all the way forward to 12, stops in retrogrades all the way back to 28 degrees of Aquarius, and then he stops and goes direct and then comes forward again to 12 and then beyond. So he is where he retrogrades, well, he's already in that area before he retrogrades. So it's like going forward, retrogrades, and then he goes forward again. So that area between 28 Aquarius and 12 degrees of Pisces, he moves over that forward, retrograde, and forward again 3 times.
Okay,
so
I understand.
Happen in 3s, yeah. So it takes nearly 12 weeks to go through one sector that usually, if he just goes right through it, it takes 3.5 weeks.
Now, in past podcasts that we've done, or you have mentioned that he stops.
Yes.
And sometimes those are a couple, 3 days that are a little more intense.
Yes, and that would be, oops, there we are. That would be these dates. So around February 16th and around March 9th. So those are the days that Mercury stations, meaning we have to come to a complete stop before we can change our direction, just like driving the car. So I was going to mention that and I forgot. So thank you for bringing that up. So February 16th to March 9th, those 2 dates, so just a couple days on either side, those are the days that I really do feel things are very frustrating.
Okay.
Because we're not used to the energy, the direction of the planet yet. It takes a few days to get used to it.
Right.
You know, it's like wearing a new pair of shoes or, you know, new head.
Yeah. Right. No, I understand. There's always certain times that there's an intensity, and I think it's important that we all know when that is, just so that we can be aware.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes it's better to just step back and let it be.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And do all those things we said. So, because those are really good ways to use this Pisces energy. Here's my info if anybody needs it. Nice. And so let's just be creative, be imaginative, allow things to flow, unplug when we need to.
Don't be impulsive.
And just, follow that path of least resistance. But we also can continue to work and build where it feels really good. Right?
That sounds good.
If it doesn't feel really good, then that's where we should just, like, as much as we can, just take that break.
Right. Well, Dorothy, I really appreciate you joining us and giving us some insight. I know my people absolutely love this podcast. So I'll be sharing that in the next couple weeks, and we'll talk again. Hopefully, when should we talk again? In May or?
Oh yeah, early May. So we can
or-
talk about that off air. But yeah, we should do something in early May, and
Okay.
we could talk about Venus
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Venus retrograde in Gemini and what to expect with that.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're
We
welcome.
will be talking again soon.
Terrific.